Welcome back. Israel's interception of the global Summit Flotilla carrying aid to Gaza has sparked demonstrations across the world, including Italy, Bangladesh and Spain. The countries also condemn the detention of activists who were trying to take the humanitarian aid to Gaza. The Israeli Navy began intercepting the boats on Wednesday, with over 400 people on board being prevented from reaching the enclave. Let's unpack this with Reverend Ntlha from the South African Council of Churches. A very good evening to you, Reverend. And just thinking about the past few hours as well, and that flotilla making its way to Gaza and everything that's transpired, what are your thoughts as the Council of Churches in South Africa?
Our thoughts are that the behavior of the state of Israel is beyond words. We can't understand how a state would act in such a rogue manner, not only in terms of its breach of international law, by intercepting humanitarian aid in international waters, but all of that in the light of the starving people of Gaza, of people who are thirsty, people who need medicine, people who need all sorts of humanitarian supplies. Israel deliberately intercepts and denies the people of the world the human right of receiving help in their worst hour of need. That is just unbelievable. And so as the Council of Churches and as the Christian community around the world, around the country, including the Evangelical Alliance that I represent, it is a sad day indeed for human rights and international law in the world. But we are delighted that activists, people who care when somebody does not have water to drink or does not need medicine or is starving, that the people of the world will not sit by and allow for that to happen. And so I think that is the hope for all of us. And the challenge is that may we all of us be like that, that none of us will know how to fold our arms and watch babies die a slow death from starvation, from hunger, from having cried too long that they have no tears anymore. But all of that is something, in our Christian faith, we are told that in the last day, humanity will be judged on the basis of what it did when ordinary people needed help, and it was within our power to do it, and we denied them that. And so it's something that I believe it's a moral challenge to all of us.
Yeah, and Reverend, as you're speaking as well and reminding us of the situation on the ground, the visuals on the screen also show that interception by Israeli forces and getting those people off the vessels as well. And I just want us to go back to what you're talking about, the peacefulness of the people who are trying to assist in this crisis that's unfolding currently. We heard from Amnesty International South Africa's executive director earlier, who said that, and I'd like to quote this as well, the interception is not just about blocking aid. It is a calculated act of intimidation intended to punish and silence critics of Israel, of Israel's genocide and its unlawful blockade on Gaza. And just to take us back, Reverend, you were talking about the dire situation on the ground. What we're hearing from Amnesty International South Africa is to say this is calculated, this is deliberate, even though this flotilla is on a peaceful mission.
Correct. I mean, and the tragedy after all of this anti-Semitic, that all of us who care about the dying and the thirsty and the sick, that just simply by trying to go and assist, everyone will be blamed for being anti-Semitic. And so I think that it is a very sad day, and it's a very tragic that Israel would enjoy such immunity. The U.S. puts well, according to one report, $30 billion in this war effort of Israel against the people of Gaza, which is much higher figure than what Israel itself puts in the war effort that it is launching now. Israel is reported to be putting in $25 billion to this campaign. Now, it is quite clear that Israel on its own could not manage this to sustain this horror unless it was assisted by powerful allies in Washington. And so we live in that world where it is survival of the strongest. The bully in the schoolyard gets to get his way with the rest of humanity, and that the governments of the world should have been the ones that do what this flotilla was doing. They didn't do it, and so ordinary people thought to get this flotilla to themselves take humanitarian aid. And so it's really a moral stalemate, a moral crisis, and something that I believe all of us as South Africans should stand up against. I think that only 5 of South African compatriots were joining this flotilla. Is that each one of those 5 represents millions of us to say, when history is told someday about did South Africa care, yes or no, I think in the name of those who are now captured by Israel, we would like to be able to say, yes, we cared. And that's the reason it is important for us to demand their immediate release. And we are thankful that the president has made that call. And now we believe that it must escalate the call to some practical actions. I said earlier that the USA is putting billions into the military campaign. I think if South Africa is selling coal to Israel, that in some way contributes to that same war effort. So we are complicit in some way. So we would require for the government to re-look at its trade relations with Israel and to demonstrate that the words we speak as South Africans, both to the International Court of Justice, but also to Netanyahu, that those words are meshed with actions, and that our coal should no longer go to Israel.
Reverend, thank you so much for your time this evening. We really appreciate it.